Do you know when a living thing exhibits the most potential? It's the moment an enemy shows intent to kill. A knife to your throat, a gun to your head. A 6'6" gym rat on a kitchen sink's worth of steroids aggressively walking towards you after you insulted his receding hairline. How would you react to any one of these situations? Some of you would probably beg for your lives. Others might panic and freeze up or try to run away. Realistically, only a fraction of you would fight back, and an even smaller fraction of you would end up winning. Enter Nagi Taira, one of, if not the strongest assassins in the world, and for good reason. He has a superpower that literally feeds off of murderous intent. Try to kill him and he just gets stronger, which means that deadly situations like the ones I just described result in what we like to call a no-diff. With a power like that, the guy has virtually no weaknesses. What he does have is a cute little sister called Shizuka. Now, one day Shizuka gets kidnapped. Nagi responds by absolutely annihilating her kidnappers, saving her without breaking a sweat. Everything seems fine. Until one of the goons, with his dying breath, raises his gun. Despite having more than enough physical prowess to dodge the shot, Nagi's first instinct is to protect his little sister, putting himself between her and the shooter. One split second later, bang. As a result, one of the greatest assassins in the world is reduced to a vegetable on wheels. Doctors tell his sister that it's a miracle he's even alive. Thanks to the bullet lodged in his skull that by all means should have turned his brain to mush, Nagi Taira turned into a comatose paraplegic. And you can imagine just how depressing it must be for Shizuka to see her brother go from being able to massacre hundreds of men on his own to being unable to swat a mere mosquito sucking the blood right out of his face. However, when she decides to kill said mosquito for him, her murderous intent ends up triggering his power and waking him up. This surprising turn of events gave Shizuka an idea. Get Nagi to stay awake by having him fight a ton of really strong dudes. Would it be possible to somehow get him back on his feet by exposing him to countless amounts of murderous intent? There was only one way to find out. Shizuka musters her courage and dives into the underworld to find contract work in the form of notoriously strong targets that no one can kill. Right before every job, she literally has to try to kill Nagi to get him to wake up. As soon as his power snaps him back into consciousness, Shizuka fills him in on all the details and they get to work. Now, you might be wondering just how Nagi manages to actually get any assassin work done, being in a wheelchair and all. The answer is the coolest fucking thing ever. A custom-built battle wheelchair complete with a set of armor, swords, and a mask straight out of Friday the 13th. You cannot tell me that this isn't the most badass thing in the world. And badass is the only way I can describe some of the scenes in this manga. You've got a guy shot-putting a cannonball into a sniper's head from a mile away. You've got a guy ripping the head off of someone 5 times his size through rear naked choke. You've got a literal titan of a schoolgirl punching through a guy's torso, exploding half his ribs. Anyway, where were we? Oh yeah, Nagi's first assassination on wheels. A bunch of goons sentence Nagi to execution by firing squad, but do they know about Nagi's power? Apparently not, because they're turned into literal chunks of meat seconds later thanks to all the murderous intent they directed towards Nagi. I can already hear some of you go, oh, but what's he gonna do if he has to go up some stairs? Wouldn't his opponents be safe if they had the high ground? And that's probably exactly what went through the minds of the goon monkeys. Enter spike mode. When you hear those spikes pop out of the wheels, that's your sign that the high ground is about to turn into minced monkey ground. And what better way to mince your monkey than to ride a spiked wheelchair into its face? After making short work of the goon squad, Nagi's faced with the head honcho he came to eliminate in the first place. Let's just say that his trusty tank chair doesn't do so hot against budget King Kong. Uncharacteristically, Nagi runs, and immediately returns with a fucking steamroller Batmobile of a wheelchair powered solely through his arm strength. Its official name? Tank Chair Mark 7. Heavy. For a moment, it seems like Nagi's opponent has the upper hand as he puts a complete stop to Mark 7 with his brute strength, until a fatal mistake is made. "I'm gonna kill you!" he roars. And that violent, unbridled, murderous intent gives Nagi such a boost in power that our formidable opponent who had the upper hand just moments before gets turned into tomato paste on the spot. Afterwards, Nagi and Shizuka are allowed one short conversation before Nagi falls back into a coma. Their search for strong opponents continues. Now, I don't know about you, but personally, I have the attention span of a goldfish. Stuff like Freerun or Monster might be cool if you're fine with literally nothing ever happening, but I need action. I need stuff to happen, and I need characters to react and develop. The best part about this manga is that you're never lacking development. Something is happening in nearly every single page of every single chapter, and if it's not, then it's being foreshadowed. That's why I loved Dorohedoro. Both manga have a bunch of likable, compelling, interesting characters, and they all get involved in one whimsical/disastrous event from one chapter to the other. You are never given the opportunity to feel bored in the first place, and that's why I love Tankshare. You barely have a chance to breathe before another enemy shows up, and suddenly you're met with another iteration of Nagi's tank chair, and you're wondering just who the hell designed and built these absolute mechanical beasts on wheels. I'm trying to keep everything as spoiler-free as I can, but all I'll say is that whoever built them is capable of way more than just tank chairs. Also, another similarity to Dorohedoro besides the gore is that our first villains parallel the MCs. They're siblings in crime just like Nagi and Shizuka, the same way Shin and Noi are partners in crime parallel to Kaiman and Nikaido. Oh, and one more similarity if it wasn't obvious already, big girl, best girl. The character designs are one of a kind. Most of them are batshit crazy, but it works really well somehow. There's a paraplegic assassin who has a bunch of different custom wheelchairs made for specific battle situations. There's a kid wearing a demon octopus beanie that binds to nerves in his brain and can take any shape he wants it to, including a supersuit. There's an 8-foot-tall beast of a girl wearing a metallic gas mask who also has mechanical gauntlets and boots and can also power herself up with special gas canisters. There's an immortal, all-powerful twink who refuses to wear shoes or socks and has really cool tribal tattoos on his arms and legs along with black fingernails and toes for some reason. You've got whatever the hell this guy's supposed to be who looks badass and rides a fucking intercontinental ballistic missile into battle. Like, come on. Gangs that ride dinosaurs, cultist vampires with pointy ears, this two-headed motherfucker, and so much more. Tankshare has it all, and as different and silly as all the characters may seem, none of them look strange or feel out of place. The world of Tankshare is kinda like a pot of chili. You could put almost anything in there and it would still end up tasting good. To me, one of the biggest signs of good writing and character development is being able to get you invested in a bunch of characters despite all of them having opposing goals. Case in point, I found myself rooting for the villain's siblings more than the MC siblings, and that only amplified in the later chapters as I found out more and more about their backstory. And seeing as I ended up bawling my eyes out 3 times in only 45 chapters, to say that I was invested would be a huge understatement. As for the plot, well, it goes way beyond trying to get Nagi healed up. To me, Tankshare is a story about siblings and sacrifice. The concepts of unconditional love and self-sacrifice for your brother or sister play a huge role in almost every major event. Each instance is heartrending and meaningful as the next. Stakes are always real, they're always high. Every disaster has consequences, and those consequences always transition into lasting development for our characters. You can feel in your bones the love and hate the characters have for each other, and for themselves. Their dialogue and reactions are visceral and pure and so human. I love this manga. Also, props to the mangaka Yashiro Manabu for getting all of this beautifully drawn and written work done on a bi-weekly schedule with zero help from assistants or ghostwriters or whatever. It's a fresh breath of air to see such passion and attention to detail when you've got shit like Kengan Omega looking like this, even though the artist has like 50 different assistants and uses AI on a chapterly basis because he's a lazy piece of shit who doesn't care anymore. Anyway, read Tankshare now! And don't forget to support the artist. Links to the Japanese and English releases down below. I'll be seeing you guys when this inevitably gets an anime adaptation a couple of years down the line and everyone jumps on the bandwagon. You heard it here first, folks. Peace.